This episode of A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live is brought to you in part by Viewfinder's Identity Search and Design. Your choice for web design, graphic design, and all multimedia development needs. Visit VFISAD.com and let us bring your vision to reality.
This is Charlotte Chung.
And Fred Tatasciore.
And you're listening to
A.C.M.G. presents
Talk Time Live.
This week, I run down the first Nintendo Direct of 2021. I give my thoughts on the Mortal Kombat trailer. S&K brings back the match of the Millennium. And in our final stage, I review Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. All this and more as A.C.M.G. presents Talk Time Live Extra. Select Start.
Welcome to the show to give you all the news, views, and opinions in the world of gaming. This is A.C.M.G. presents Talk Time Live Extras Select Start with your host, Xavier Josiah. Power up and game on.
Yeah. Is it right to go on? They're all gone. They died for the planet. Will they ever forgive us? Right now, I really don't know. Yeah. I've been real. When I'm with ill, I spit skills, get gilled like mithril, blow like a pinwheel. Live from the live stream, tighten your flows and get tossed in the cycle of souls. And only the foolish try, the rest know full well it's suicide. Monsters traveled here on the last lunar cry. Prototype of the aura site, archetype, parasite. Get your data right or get shattered like time. A lyrical rhyme slave, erasure from my digital mind wave. Start up the crime wave. Project G when the meteor falls. Saw the future without reading your palms. I read 13 chapters and the rappers come after. Random major blow like Mako reactors. Keep the sister ray, equip the spray. Command counter with the ultimate, bring it into your day.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Select Start. I'm your host, Xavier Josiah. We got a lot of news to talk about. I know I've said in the past few weeks that we had a little bit of news to talk about in the world of gaming. No, it's coming back full force. We got a lot of news. I mean, from Nintendo Direct to the Mortal Kombat trailer, S&K dropping a bombshell of a game that made this week the week for me. And then we also will be talking about Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury in our final stage. So, I mean, we got it. I mean, but there's much more. I mean, who knows? At this point in time, we could find out if when Overwatch 2 will come out, because my previous Keystone Comic-Con panel guest, Charlotte Chung, on Instagram yesterday announced that today, which I believe is going to be BlizzCon, that there's going to be some news about the upcoming sequel to the most popular esport game of its time. So I'm looking forward to that. You know, Overwatch 2 is probably one of the only FPS games that I will actually enjoy playing. So I am looking forward to seeing, hopefully, that we'll get a release date for that today. So stay tuned for that. You know, BlizzCon, Blizzard Entertainment, stick on to them, because I think we're going to hit some news sometime today on that. But let's get down to it. Before we do, the music that you're hearing, of course, is none other than the best of both worlds themselves, Mega Ran and Game Chops. Possibly one of the finest albums I've heard from both of them to date. And this is the Black Materia album. Actually, I should say the Black Materia, the remake, based on the Final Fantasy remake album. Also based on Mega Ran's first, I don't want to say first album, but it's the album that really put them on the map. And since they decided to remake the game, they decided to remake the album, and Game Chops was a part of it. You know, Game Chops music is always played on this show and all the other shows that I have. And it's awesome to have two of my good friends on one platform during one project. And it's awesome. This is an awesome album. I highly recommend going to bandcamp.com. Go to DJ Cutman's Bandcamp. You can get it there. But not only that, out now as well is the new instrumental version of this album. So you get to hear, I would recommend getting both, because you're listening to it here right now. You can check out the hip-hop version with Mega Ran spitting on it, and a whole bunch of other, great talented hip-hop artists on there. And then you can listen to the instrumental, because, they're both great. And these guys are so well talented. I'm so grateful to know both of them and, you know, work with them in some form or fashion. It's just awesome. Just absolutely awesome. Go out of your way to check it out. But let's get down to some news here. I mean, like, whew, we got to start with the Mortal Kombat trailer. We have to start with the Mortal Kombat trailer. Can I not stress that enough? We need to start with the Mortal Kombat trailer. We were waiting for this to happen, and this did not disappoint. First of all, it was released with a red band trailer. Okay, that was enough. We were told, if you read articles, if you read everything leading up to this, we were told that they were not going to hold back. This was not going to be, as much as we love the original New Line Cinema version that came out, you know, ages ago. That was partially violent. It was okay, but it was diluted. It was still a great movie, a fun movie, but it didn't really give us the essence of what we know Mortal Kombat to be and what it's become over the years. This got people like extremely excited. They spared no expense and no gore. So I'm actually doing this in real time as I'm doing it. So it starts off with, you know, Jax coming in, you know, looking for a assassin. Comes out to be Sub-Zero. Tries to shoot Sub-Zero, and he turns his gun into ice, and as well as his arms. So Sub-Zero's responsible for, you know, his cybernetic arms in this version. Now, if you recall, there's many different versions of how Jax got his cybernetic arms. In the original, if I'm correct, Jax just agreed to do an experimental surgery to, you know, make his arm cybernetic because Outworld was coming, there was a war coming, and he wanted to be prepared. So if I'm correct, that's the original. Then the reboot of Mortal Kombat, which was Mortal Kombat 9, it wasn't Abe Sapod. I forgot who actually tore his arms off. One of the Outworlders tore his arms off, and that was the origin for him getting there. But in this movie, now it's Sub-Zero that's doing it. So I've heard no complaints about anybody, you know, hating on that narrative right there. So we got the new character Cole, which explains that he has a birthmark that has the dragon logo that we're all used to, thinking it is a birthmark. And Jax is telling them that's not a birthmark. That is actually an invitation, pretty much. And it shows that Cole is actually a mixed martial artist as well. They show him in the cage. I can't say octagon because that's a trademark. So it's a normal MMA cage, but it looks like he's fighting underground at best. So, you know, he's joining along a whole bunch of people that we are very familiar with, including Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, and Kano for some reason that is alongside with them, and Kung Lao as well. They also show a glimpse of Mileena, and fans are going to be hyped about that because if you go on Twitter, everybody, you know, there's some Mileena loving people. They also show other situations. Like there's more to this new character, Cole, that you're seeing. I mean, they showed him looking in the mirror, and all of a sudden he has these dragon-looking eyes and possessed eyes or whatever like that. So there's going to be more to it. They also showed a little bit of footage of Hanzo, a.k.a. Scorpion, fighting against a bunch of ninjas, which is set to be his origin story. And I think this will be the beginning scene in the movie, which is very gory, very violent, but awesome at the same time. Interesting to note, if you go on to IGN, the director of the movie actually explains in detail of what's going on in the trailer. He did mention that some of the people that was involved with Kill Bill took part in this film and helped with the choreography and of the scenes here. So it's funny that he mentioned that, because before he even mentioned that, the first thing I even thought about when I watched the scene with Hanzo fighting off with the ninjas was the Kill Bill scene with the Crazy 88s. And it's that level of violence there. So I find it, the minute that he mentioned that, I was really excited. and I know that this is going to be done really well from this aspect. So it looked awesome. I'm like, there's a lot of blood and gore in this thing. So we see at this point that they're mentioning all the people that's going to be involved. You see Kano shooting lasers from his eye, which is very appropriate, which is something that we see in the game. Liu Kang is shooting fire from his hand. Now, if you guys remember in the old movie, they teased that, and I think the reason for that was because of budgeting. They couldn't afford the special effects to really do what they're doing in this movie right now. And I think we're going to see a lot more of Liu Kang using his martial arts techniques and the fireball techniques and everything here. If you look at the trailer, they show him doing that a lot. Whereas like the original movie, they waited to the very last moment for him to do it. And I guarantee you, I put money on it that was a budgeting issue. Because back then, they didn't have the technology to do what they're doing now. And then they didn't have the budget to do it because animating any type of special effects is very costly. It still is costly, but it's more accessible now than it ever is. And it's worth it, So now we're going to get to see possibly the Mortal Kombat that we've been waiting for, that fans absolutely deserve here. So we also see Jax later on with his cybernetic arms, which are extremely well detailed. You know what's funny? Speaking of Jax, since this trailer has released, I've heard no jokes about Steve Harvey at all. I've heard not one Steve Harvey joke since this trailer came out. People there's no joking anymore after seeing this. People are very convinced. We also see Raiden too. Raiden's in here. He looks awesome. We see Shang Tsung. We see Scorpion in full form. And I'm loving what's going on here, man. We also see Melina looking a Psy, which is very interesting. It's going to be interesting how they portray her because in the original Mortal Kombat, Melina was supposed to be the twin of Katana. If I'm correct, Melina in this one is a woman of color. She's black. I don't believe Katana's black in this movie, and they haven't shown her, but I do believe I've seen her on IMDb or whatever like that. So I don't think there's going to be an interesting thing as to where her origin comes from, or whether they're going to stick to the source of that storyline with Melina. But either way, she looks badass. I am looking forward to this. They also show a shot of a statue commemorating Shao Kahn as well. We also see a being on the roof, kind of like the rooftop raptors of this building that Sonya is in. That, in my eyes, I think that's Reptile. So I think we're going to see Reptile in this as well. We see more special effects of Liu Kang igniting the fiery dragon. We also see Goro as well, a clip of that. So he's going to be in here in some form or fashion. It's going to be interesting. Then to top it off, we see a climatic battle between Sub-Zero and Scorpion. Now, what was awesome about that scene was that we got to kind of see something that we are accustomed to in a video game, and that is the kind of the it's been a while. It's been a minute since I played Mortal Kombat 11. It's sad, but it's like the X-ray mode that you would see, or what's the mode that you do when you put extra damage and kill to somebody. You got to see that type of situation here as well, so it's awesome. And he stabs him with his own blood, and he creates a wall of ice, and he throws him on there. Very similar to like a huge attack that you would see on Mortal Kombat. So I am very much looking forward to this. This is awesome. I've heard no complaints, no negativity on this game at all. And even on top of that, you got Shang Tsung saying finish him, and then you just see all this like clips of violence going off, and then at the end you see Kano holding a heart saying Kano wins. Oh, this is going to be good. This arrives April 16th in theaters and exclusively to HBO Max. Not one negative thought at all. Not one. I've heard on the internet. And if it is, it's being clouded within a bunch of different other positive reactions to this. It is just absolutely awesome. I am looking very much forward to this. Been a Mortal Kombat fan for God knows how long. I love the new direction that Ed Boon has taken this in terms of story. He did something that I didn't think would ever be done, and that was like reboot. He created the greatest reboot of all time, in my opinion. He took the Days of Future Past narrative and gave it its own spin, but did it so effectively that it made everything about what happened in the original Mortal Kombat all the way to like Armageddon made sense. Made absolute sense of how they rebooted into this new version of 1 through 4. And I was so happy. And now we have Mortal Kombat 11. Everything just connected. I don't know if it was his working with Warner Brothers games and Warner Brothers in general that allowed him to get some great writers or whatever like this, but they outdid themselves. I think I've played every Mortal Kombat game since the beginning and followed the story and narrative from that point, and it's just unbelievable the road that they've taken since then, since Ed Boon have taken over and John Tobias has left that company. It makes me think what would have happened if John Tobias would have stayed. I don't know, but all I know is NetherRealm Studios is one of the best game studios out there. They created one of the greatest games of all time, and it's always rivals Street Fighter. In some cases, it actually superseded Street Fighter. And I'm a huge Street Fighter fan, but in terms of like really strong story, narrative, character development, I think they beat them out, because Capcom with the Street Fighter series, I don't think that they've done all that they have or they could have with that series when it comes to story narrative. Like I like the Shadow Falls, but in comparison, it feels a little bit hollow. And Capcom has always had this very shallow way of treating their game characters and their character development, whereas Ed Boon and NetherRealm Studios, they take it. You could tell that they take it very seriously. That they want it to be as authentic and strong, and really want you to get immersed into their world. You could tell the amount of attention to detail that they put in there, and it shows and it pays off, because now they not only have a great game with a great universe and great storytelling, they also have a whole bunch of different characters outside of their universe that comes into the universe, and then they make sense out of that. Like there's a reason why RoboCop is in there. There's a reason why Spawn is in there. There's a reason why the Terminator's in there, Freddy, like so forth and so on, and Rambo. They made sense of it all. It's not like they just added these characters in just for the sake of adding these characters in, like they do with Tekken. Like Tekken has Negan on there, and it's like, okay, how did he get in here? How did Noctis from Final Fantasy 15 become a character in here? How does it make sense that he gets into this world? They don't really explain it. They did have a promotional ad showing that they explained how these guys come in, but it was just a throwaway type of way of doing it, but you don't really get an idea like they did with Akuma. They did that really good. Didn't do well with the other stuff. So I love what Mortal Kombat's doing. This is going to be an awesome movie, I think. I'm looking forward to it. It just looks very promising. And every once in a while when you get a trailer like you would with Marvel Studios trailers, it gives you that feel of comfort and hope, and then it doesn't disappoint from there. So I will be surprised after seeing what I'm seeing here that this movie is going to be... I don't think that this movie is going to be like the movie of the year, but I think this is going to start something really awesome, and I can't wait. So, all right, let's get down to some other news here. Let's run down everything that has happened and the recent Nintendo Direct, the first Nintendo Direct of 2021, and I was excited to see this because Nintendo never they don't disappoint. They don't disappoint when it comes to their presentations or whatnot. However, I think this one wasn't as good as the ones I've seen in the past. I was more in a way of looking for some really blow away type of news, but it didn't really happen in that sense. But I'll run down there. There were some things that I did like, and some things that I was like, okay, it started off strong, but then at the end, it pretty much didn't really blow me away. It didn't blow me away in a sense, and let's talk about it. So, the actual presentation, of course, started off with an announcement from which a lot of people could have thought that this was a new expansion pack to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but after watching all these Nintendo Directs, you kind of get an idea of what they're doing here. And I just knew that one of these characters are going to be invited into Smash Brothers. And in fact, it was. And it was not who you thought it was. It wasn't like Rex is the actual main character of the game. Comes to find out, it wasn't him. It was Pyra and Mithra, which they're one and the same, actually. So Mithra is probably going to be like a mirror character to Pyra. But I like the way they did it. It was very funny how they did it. And Rex was even complaining, like, I thought I was going to be invited to this. I think actually, after playing Xenoblade Chronicles, not one of my favorite games in the world, mostly because of the gameplay aspect, is Xenoblade Chronicles to me. I love the way it looks. I love the story. What I don't like is the control scheme and how they do it, because it's like you're rarely doing anything at all. They're attacking, but you're just moving around. I'm never a big fan of that. It's like you go out to a basketball game and you ask to play. You want to play basketball, but they don't let you play. They say you can play, but they just don't let you play. That's what I feel like this is with Xenoblade Chronicles. I don't know any other way to explain it. It's like, or even better, it's like when this is much better because the other one kind of sucked. It's like when you were playing your game and your kid brother or kid sister wanted to play, but you didn't want them to play. So you gave them a controller that wasn't connected to your game console to make it seem like they were playing. That's what Xenoblade Chronicles control scheme makes me feel like. It makes me feel like I'm not really playing the game because it's just playing for me, but I'm just moving things around. They don't allow you to use any attack buttons or anything. So it's like, to me, it comes off as boring, but I love the storyline and I love the character design. The characters are really great. So I am happy that Pyra and Mithra will be in the game and that I will be able to control them the way I would like to control them in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So this is awesome. So the other news that they had too, there was a lot of great news. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is planned for later this year. They didn't have any real big news towards that, but there are some great Legend of Zelda news in here. For instance, Legend of Zelda Skyward HD was announced to be coming to the Switch, or is announced to be coming to the Switch in July 16th, 2021. Never played. This is one of those games that also I missed out on when it was out on the Wii. I didn't have an interest in this, and I honestly, after seeing it and what they're doing with it, I don't think I got an interest in this now. Mostly because, again, the control scheme is a little bit iffy for me. It doesn't seem enticing for me that I want to, play, because it involves you using your Joycons as well, and that's kind of good if you like doing the motion, control type thing. I'm not usually. I'm just like, I place my Switch on handheld all the time, but it does give you the option to play it on handheld, but you're doing it in a way that you're using the analog sticks. And it just, I like the traditional way of playing Zelda. Just have an attack button, have a evade button, stuff like that. I'd rather play it the traditional way. This is a little bit too innovative for me when it comes to Zelda games. I do hope, however, that they come out with Wind Waker, because that's the one game I never played yet when for the Nintendo, when it came out on Nintendo Wii. I never got a chance to play that. And I feel bad because it looks like an awesome game. The only time I got to play anything that was Wind Waker was when Hyrule Warriors. That's as close to as I've gotten with that. The standout thing for me, and shout out to my dude Craig on Craig Holland and the A.C.M.G Facebook group. We were both more attracted to the announcement of the Skyward Sword themed Joycon today announced, which looks awesome. It looks absolutely awesome. They have one Joy-Con to represent the shield, the Hyrule shield, and the other one to represent the right Joy-Con to represent the Master Sword. And the one thing I will say that does intrigue me about the Skyward Sword game is that it is based upon the origin of the Master Sword. So it's kind of based on the prime universe almost of the Zelda universe that keeps, there's a different Zelda in a different universe every single time. Hence why Hyrule Warriors made sense in this case. So you had that. They also announced Mario Golf Super Rush. This was a game that was pretty cool. I used to play all the Mario Golf games and all the Nintendo Golf games. This one actually looks cool. I do appreciate that they are adding so much more to these Mario sports games now. The last few sports games, Mario and Sonic Olympics, Mario Tennis, and now this one are going to have story mode with it. And I appreciate what Nintendo has realized is that you can't just come out with these ports, with these games, and just have it be like just a arcade mode for everything and no narrative or anything. Like having a story mode really draws people in. And I want to believe that they did this right after they did Mario Kart 8. Because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, really, wasn't much to it. I liked the game. There was nothing else to it other than that. There was no story mode. There was just other tracks that you played. And maybe they've discovered that people weren't playing it after a while because they just get bored. There's nothing else to go back to. Well, when Mario Tennis came out, and then even Smash Brothers got a storyline out of them as well. I mean, that was another one that didn't have too much of a story or a narrative to it. This one did. The Super Smash Ultimate did. That's why this is the best one of them all. But Super Mario Golf, Super Rush is going to be a fun game. I can see the speed golf mode. It looks really fun. It's a mode that allows you to like a multiplayer feature that allows everybody to play at once and try to get. I guess it's trying to get the best handicap out of everybody as everybody's playing at the same time. You're talking to somebody who doesn't play golf. I would have to go to my family about this because I got family members who play golf and stuff. So I totally changed the game when it comes to golf. I don't play to the way that they do. It's like whoever gets their ball in the hole first wins. That's it. So there's also another game out, Project Triangle, which is a strategy RTS that is coming out. There's a demo out now for it. This is a Square Enix game. It looks beautiful. It looks absolutely beautiful. I am partially a fan of real-time strategy games. Gaia is one of my all-time favorite real-time strategy games because it doesn't take itself seriously and it's a lot of fun. There's a great comedy in here. So this one looks awesome too. Beautiful art design and art direction in here as well. Star Wars Hunters. I was actually kind of excited to this until I found out it was like a free-to-play game. So to those who like Star Wars, to those who like free-to-play, knock yourselves out. That's you. Fall Guys Ultimate Knockouts is announced to arrive in the summer of 2021. Cute little game. Hyrule Warriors. This was, for all those who are waiting for the actual the new information on Hyrule Warriors 2. We got not Hyrule Warriors, Breath of the Wild. We got Hyrule Warriors to hold us off. Age of Calamity was one of my favorite games last year. And it's going to continue to be one of my favorite games because now they have an expansion pack that will feature 2 waves of content. Some of that is going to be some new story narratives, characters, stages, a whole bunch of things. I had a hunch that they were going to do this. So this is a great way to hold us off until Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. I thought Age of Calamity did a really good job being somewhat of a great prequel, a good filler to hold us off until the new one comes out. So I loved it. One of the things that I did like about this presentation was the announcement of Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden is coming back. Unfortunately not a new Ninja Gaiden, but Ninja Gaiden the Master Collection was announced for the Nintendo Switch. The Master Collection will bring together remastered versions of Ninja Gaiden Sigma, Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, and Ninja Gaiden Razor's Edge, which I've heard mixed reviews on this. Ninja Gaiden Razor's Edge was different because the original creator of it, forgot his name. Let me look up his name, because the only thing I know about this guy is that he was rather a I don't want to say anything too offensive, but he was kind of a jerk. He was an arrogant jerk at that. Like he purposely would make things hard for everybody. Tumanobu Itagaki is the guy. This dude was very Kanye-esque in a sense. Before there was a Kanye West, it was Itagaki. And I've known that the only one thing I know is that he purposely wanted to make things so insanely hard for the games that it was almost hard to really enjoy. And then on top of that, they say he was hard to work with. So Ninja Gaiden 3 was the first game that didn't involve him, and there was mixed reviews. People that thought that was too easy or whatnot, so they did make it a little. I think Razor's Edge was the game that they kind of revamped a bit to make it a little bit more challenging for people who wanted that type of challenge. I just want to enjoy the story. I don't want to and I beat Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2. Don't get me twisted. I beat those 2. They were awesome. I just want to enjoy the story. I want to have the option to be challenged. I don't want to be forced to be challenged in a game. I can't stand games like that. It's like, okay, not everybody wants to get beat the hell down all the time. And I'm not, if I'm not getting laid or paid, I don't need to be playing a hard version of the game. What am I getting out of this? Where's the incentive? If there's a real incentive to play in this game in that fashion, that's fine. But if not, I could play any other game out there and have the same enjoyment or better enjoyment because I'm just enjoying the game for what it is and for the art of it. Not to really, stress me out so much that I throw my controller down. Like I said, I'm not gaining anything from playing in a hard mode. I like how gamers, and this mentality is still here where gamers feel like they have to, prove their worth to everybody else if they play through the hard mode or they're going to get credibility. No, this ain't the 80s. In the 80s, you actually possibly could have got laid if you got the highest score. Because people would have thought of you as a genius if you got the highest score in Donkey Kong. That doesn't happen today. You're just getting some recognition. Some people do get paid. There's certain games like we now see Ninja and Fortnite, and there's some other people out there, some other gamers out there, the esports gamers and stuff like that. But for the common gamer that plays a game like Ninja Gaiden, you're not getting any incentive from that. There's no esport, situation involving Ninja Gaiden. Okay, so get a grip on that, dude. But that will be coming out. I'm looking forward to that. It's coming out June 10th, 2021. So I'm looking very much forward to that. Super Mario items will be added to Animal Crossing New Horizon this month as well. So that's awesome. You're going to get to create the Mushroom Kingdom in your own island. So that's a pretty cool thing. Nintendo 3DS title. Yes, I remember this. Miitopia. If you had a 3DS, there was these mini games that they would have in the 3DS. It was really cute. They were really cute. You get to do some role-playing game type, mini games that featured your Mii characters or whatnot. This is coming back, and it's going to be coming in May of 2021. So if you haven't owned a 3DS and never played this game, it's a cute thing to have. So I liked it. Outer Wilds coming to the Switch in summer 2021. Look, I believe this is a third-person type of experience here, or first-person type of experience here. You're going through different planets and such like that. It's just one of those type of deals. 2 Famicom detective games are coming to Nintendo Switch in 2021. I think Phoenix Wright fans will like this type of game. Very, very beautiful artwork. These will be sold separately, I should mention, is that. And these are games that were out in Japan, but now being localized for the US here now as well. I think the other biggest, I guess I could say one of the biggest announcements for me in this presentation was Samurai Warriors 5 heading to the Nintendo Switch. A brand new Samurai Warriors is coming out, made by Koei Tecmo, which is a spin-off to Dynasty Warrior franchise, and it takes place in the Sengoku period of Japan, which follows, of all people, Nobunaga Oda and Mitsuhide Akechi. Now, for those who haven't been playing these type of feudal Japan games in the past, like Unimusha and other games like that, Nobunaga Oda is always said to be the main. He's like the main bad guy. He is a real person in history, but throughout years and throughout generations, he's always mystified. They always mystify him and glorify him as a major villain in those feudal periods. He was said to be like a very vengeful, spiteful type of character, and in some cases he is the devil, or he's the demon, the way that is written in certain games, according to certain games. Nobunaga Oda is usually like, and if you play Unimusha, the original 3 Unimusha games, he's usually like the main bad guy in here. And I played other games that had his character on there in the past too, like import games or whatever, where he was like the main bad guy. Now he's kind of the protagonist here. So this is a first, and I'm more interested in seeing how that is going to, turn out. They're kind of rewriting history or something, or maybe it's just leading up to when he, leads his own empire and becomes the Nobunaga Oda that we are accustomed to. I don't know where this is going. I do know that the art style in this game looks fantastic. That's what drew me in. I love the character design. I love the way it looked. It looks absolutely awesome. So that's coming summer 2021 as well. Legend of Mana is remastered, and it will be coming to the Nintendo Switch. The RPG Legend of Mana will be available. The game's music has been rearranged. They have now a remastered version. You can pick between the original and the remaster, and it'll have other features much similar to other remastered games like Final Fantasy VII or the Final Fantasy games in general when they came back out. You have the ability to turn off enemy encounters, because as you know, if you played any Square Enix RPG, every few seconds a new enemy comes. You don't have time to breathe. So now you have time to breathe. There may be some other options as well in the game, much like it was with Final Fantasy VII as well. So, and other Final Fantasy games. So stay tuned for that. The new footage for Monster Hunter Rise was revealed as well. A lot more known about what the story is going to involve. I talked about how I played the demo a few weeks ago of Monster Hunter Rise, and I'm trying my best. There's a part of me that wants to be a fan of Monster Hunter, that wants to get into what they're doing, but I never like the way it has. One of the things that turned me off about the other Monster Hunter games was that there was no story or narrative. Not until Monster Hunter World, and not until this one came out. And there's another Monster Hunter game that's coming out later for the new next gen consoles as well, I believe. But Monster Hunter Rise has a pretty interesting story that evolves around a ninja clan that's trying to preserve their land from these hordes of monsters that are trying to destroy it. Simple, plain and simple. I like it. I love the beautiful design work, the way that the visuals of the actual game, the character design of the game. I love it all. I love the way it looks. And that's what's kind of drawing me back in. But when I played the demo, something about it just didn't feel, it felt conformed. It felt very conformed. I didn't have the ability to, these are ninjas. And if they're, for me, every ninja game that I played, you're more free flowing. You have the ability to jump around everywhere. You don't have that. There's some restrictions in the movement of these characters. The only time you kind of jump is when you use the grappling ability to jump into different mountains and all that stuff. But everything else is like you evade. It's your normal monster hunter thing. You evade and you do all these things. I mean, you could control your monsters now, so that's a new feature there. But I would have loved them just adding a jump button to be able to, because you're a ninja. So you should, the common lore and understanding and characteristics of a ninja is that you are able to jump around freely to do whatever it is. I didn't get that when I played the demo. So maybe it's just that particular character or class that I picked or whatever like that. I don't know. But I'm still reserving my right here on that one. I have no doubt that Monster Hunter fans will absolutely love it. I don't know if I will, but I want to. There's a part of me that I'm trying to find something that's really intriguing me, like I did with Resident Evil. And I figured if I could play a Resident Evil game and beat a Resident Evil game, then maybe I could get into this. It's possible. I'm trying to broaden my horizons in the world of gaming, not just to be, from just to be down with one genre now. I'm trying my best here. So, Tales from the Borderland announced for Nintendo Switch. Now, this was a game that was already previously out by Telltale Games. I believe Telltale Games has now been brought over by another company, so now they're republishing these games again, which is awesome because Telltale Games was in a league of their own when it came to these type of games. So I really am happy that this is coming back out. So, Capcom Arcade Stadium Surprise releasing today, or it's out now, I should say. Now, here's the thing about that. And why I'm opting out of this is because I actually have these games already in other Capcom library of games that they've already come out with. It's the same games with a new package and a new bow. That's all it is. They're not really giving anything new to the table. Like a lot of these games they've already come out with prior to. A bunch of this actually includes a bunch of Street Fighter games, a bunch of Final Fight style games, which I have a bunch of them on the Switch already. The only game I did see that was different was Cybernauts, which they never released out. So to me, it's not worth it. The only thing that makes it so cool is that they have, the user interface is just a bunch of different arcade cabs. It's like you're going into arcade. But other than that, it's like... And they got Bionic Commando. The arcade version of Bionic Commando is in here, which is cool. But I actually prefer the NES version of Bionic Commando. I thought that was much better in there. So, if you already own these games, I would opt out of getting this because I actually think the ones that they came out with before are better. So that's what I feel about that one right there. So, Stubbs the Zombie will be coming as well to Nintendo Switch on March 2021. This is the big one. No More Heroes. We finally get news on No More Heroes. Not only news, but we finally get a release date, which is August of 2021. I know there are going to be people that are mad about that. And, my first reaction to that was like, August? Damn. But then I had to backtrack. We just went through this. We just talked about this with games like Cyberpunk or games like Marvel Avengers. We just talked about this. And by the way, speaking of which, we will be talking about Marvel Avengers fairly soon. We gotta chill. We got a release date. It's coming out August 27th. We can wait. There will be other games that will be coming out then. Allow Suda51 and his company to do what they need to do. Let the grasshoppers do what they need to do. And and I'm sure this game is going to be a lot of fun when it finally comes out. It looks pretty good. It looks awesome. The story of it just looks crazy. Travis Touchdown is going to be, killing aliens this time around. So this is going to be a new twist to everything. But August 2021, we finally at least get a release date. August 27, 2021. If you even go into the eShop, they finally changed the graphic that was there forever. And now they have a release date on air with new footage and everything on there as well. So this is coming. This is finally coming. And I guarantee this is going to be worth it. And I'm really happy that they gave us the first 2 games that they had for that, because I never got a chance to play No More Heroes when it was on the Wii. I slept on it. I'm not sleeping anymore. I'm jumping on this immediately when it comes out because of how awesome those 2 games were. Neon White announced for the Nintendo Switch. It allows you to become an assassin and demons. This is and it's like a first-person card battler game. I was down with it until I found out it was a first-person type of experience. So I was like, nope, I'm opting out of that. I'm not gonna like all first-person shooters. That's just the thing. This was kind of surprising for me, this announcement. DC Superhero Team Power is coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, this is apparently a game created by Nintendo in an association with DC Comics. There is a kids show out called, DC Superhero Girls, which it involves a lot of your favorite DC female heroes in high school. And this one is going to involve Wonder Woman, Supergirl, Batgirl, and a host of others as well. And this is a 3D platformer. It actually looks pretty good. It looks like something that maybe something that, more than kids will enjoy. There's a possibility I may be checking this one out. Just because of how great it looked, and then to find out that Nintendo was really involved in this one. Very interesting. Just coming out June 4th, 2021. So we will see. I guarantee you kids were going to love this game. If you're a Xbox owner or a former Xbox owner like I am, you will recognize this. Plants and Zombies is making a return and is coming to the Switch. Battle of the Neighborville Complete Edition is coming to the Switch. Now, if you guys remember, this came out for the Xbox One exclusively at the time, and I don't know what happened because Plants and Zombies was once a Xbox exclusive. This will bring the 8 versus 8 or the 8v8 multiplayer madness to the Switch on March 19th. So look forward to that if you're a fan of that. Plants and Zombies used to be like the original Plants and Zombies. I don't know what was about the game. That was around the time when like mobile games was like the hottest thing ever. Like it was a new thing, and then we found out how screwed up they were becoming because they were all about money and grabbing and microtransactions and stuff. But Plants and Zombies was one of the original really great games in the mobile game era that I loved. Knockout City announced for the Nintendo Switch, developed by the studio that brought us Mario Kart Live Home Circuit. This is kind of a really interesting dodgeball type of game. This looks interesting, but I got a feeling this is going to be a online only or online reliant type of game. I'll see how that is, but it looks interesting. I'm looking forward to that. World's End Club. This game was kind of interesting. This game has the world ends with you type of vibe. Which, by the way, I was really sad to not see the world ends with you not being mentioned at all in this presentations. But we have something kind of similar to this. This is kind of a interesting horror type of deal, but it has anime characters in it. It's really weird. This description has you and 11 others, known as the Go-Getters Club, set off on a captivating journey across Japan and experiencing an adventure that blends side-scrolling action to suspenseful narrative. The deal is that they go on a field trip, and all of a sudden, they're in this field. They're in this building, this field trip that they're in this building, and now they're trapped in this building, and people are dying. So these loving kids have to try to stay alive in this building, and you're going through all these types. Now, this game looks like a Pokemon game, but they have this really creepy narrative to it, and kids can die. So it's like, okay, it's Pokemon meets the Oregon Trail meets kind of Resident Evil. If that's the best way I could describe this to you, because not everybody, I feel like not every kid is going to come out alive, or you're gonna have to try to make sure everybody comes out safe or whatever. I'll keep my eye on this one. It looks very interesting. It's definitely intriguing. It definitely intrigued me enough. Bravely Default 2 final trailer revealed. That is coming February 26th, next week. But we knew that already if you looked into the eShop for that. Saga Frontier Remastered is coming in April 15th. Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection is coming out next week as well. Apex Legends for the Switch gets a new trailer. Is being announced for March 9th, 2021. Hades. Shout out to Supergiant Games out there. Great Cassavan. Hades is now going physical. So now those who haven't played the game and want to play the physical version, you can now buy the cartridge, which will be available very soon. It also includes a PC download code for the Hades original soundtrack, which I believe DJ Cutman may be involved in one or two songs of that. And 32 pages of a full color character. Honestly, I'm a digital downloader, but because I have my love for this game, this almost intrigues me to want to get the physical version just to get the rest of that content. It is so much worth it. So this was a good presentation, but it kind of, for me, and this is for me because I'm not a fan of this game, but I was looking for something to really blow us away, and it really kind of didn't for me. But to end it off with a Splatoon announcement, to me, it became anticlimactic. Now, with that said, it looks like that they're going a different direction with this. I don't know. There may be a story element to this. It looks like they're expanding on the world of this, so I don't know where this is going. But I was hoping for something big and major, and it didn't really do it for me. But I will say, overall, that the presentation was pretty damn good. It was good. It wasn't the best I've ever seen, but it was pretty good for the most part. So, if I grade this one, I am going to give it a solid B. I know some people have given it a C, but I think that there were some good announcements out there. Samurai Warriors 5, Ninja Gaiden making its return. Nothing really new, unfortunately, for that. It was good. I wasn't blown away like I normally would be for other games, but there were some good things that came out of here I'm looking forward to. So yeah, I will give them a B for that one as well. So I mentioned, going on to other news, I should say, I mentioned Marvel Avengers. Crystal Dynamics, of course, had their war table recently. They announced that the Hawkeye DLC will be arriving on March 18th. I know there are a lot of people on Twitter that were hating and mad about this. I'm, at this point, when it comes to this game, I don't care. I don't care from a standpoint of, let them do what they want to do. They are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to BS it all the way through regardless. They're not going to really be upfront with their fans and their consumer base. That's just the way that they are. They're being corporate. And what we learn is that being corporate is not exactly the most ethical thing in the world, because a lot of times they tend to hide things that they don't want us to see, and they don't tell us everything that we should know. We realize this from from not only just Crystal Dynamics, but from CD Projekt Red. But unlike CD Projekt Red, they don't apologize for their mishaps. They just gloss over it. They put the sweep it under the rug, if you will, and it burns me up when they do that, because it's the same practice that 2K games do. And you saw what happened with what they did with WWE 2K20. Disaster of a game. Absolutely disaster of a game. But Crystal Dynamics is, at least to their credit, working on it and improving it, and it has improved since then. I will not, take that away from them. It has improved, and I did like the Kate Bishop story. Didn't necessarily like the gameplay as much. It still needs a little bit tweaking, in my opinion. I just, when it comes to Marvel Avengers, I don't like the fact that it just feels so chaotic sometimes that you don't know where everything's going. The flow of it just feels off to me when it comes to that. But it's still, it's not the worst game in the world. at all. It's not as fluid, it's not as concise as with other games, with Marvel Ultimate Alliance is done, or other Marvel games like Miles Morales, or even original Spider-Man games from Insomniac Games. Like, in that comparison, nah, it's not. But it's good. It's could have been much better. But the story, the announcement for Hawkeye's DLC is coming. The story will pick up where Kate Bishop left off, as her and the Avengers, travel back in time to save Clint, as he was doing something with AIM. Now, this transitions into a battle against the Kree in a story entitled Future Imperfect, which is based on the classic 90s Incredible Hulk saga. The two go into the future, where they meet up with Old Man Hawkeye and the Maestro, which is the main bad guy of the story, and a whole bunch of things go on from there. So, Crystal Dynamics also announced that the game will finally be updated to the next-gen status in March as well. There's belief that it's going to be at the same time when the DLC comes out, or not. This will give the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X owners a chance to finally play it the way that it was intended to be played, with faster loading screens. It should be very significantly fast. Like, it needs to be like Miles Morales fast. Like, if you played Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PlayStation 5, there is no loading. There is no loading screens at all. You go from one place to another instantly. Like, it needs to be that damn good. I am hoping that this game is that good. I think it will redeem itself to some measure if they manage to do it that good. So you have that. There's no word, unfortunately, on whether the update will include the ability to replay the original story campaign, which was the more positive of this game overall. The latest announcement also mentioned that the original campaign mode, they announced the original campaign mode, but didn't say whether it was going to be replayable. Even though they did announce a while back that they were working on it being replayable. So I don't know. A lot of times when they say they're going to do something that is not exact, and then it may not happen exactly at the time you want it to. I do say that the Kate Bishop storyline and other storylines in the mission modes are replayable, as well as the story element with it. So I'm hoping that that's the case. I'm hoping that they add it on, because people paid way too much money for that game for them not to give us the ability to experience, to enjoy the story, to enjoy the great acting done by that's the thing that's so crazy about this. The game is not bad in terms of storytelling or performances. The performances are done by some of the best in the game. The storytelling is really good. Nobody said anything bad about the storytelling. The storytelling is really well done. I love the MODOK story. I love the AIM story. It just comes down to the glitches and bugs of the gameplay, and the lack of enjoyment, and the microtransactions that is involved in it. It just, all that turned it off. And then the fact that it was unfinished. That's what it came down to. So, granted, they're going to slowly, gradually get back to the swing of things. But honestly, at this point, it's what my feelings towards it now is like, it's whatever. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, all right, you already got my money, so, congratulations for that. So, but I tell you, moving on to other things, what made my week this week was something that I did not expect. I was always hoping for, didn't know if it was going to happen, and out of nowhere, I go into the eShop, I see what's available at the time, and I look closer, and I click on it, and boom. SNK brings back SNK versus Capcom Match of the Millennium. I can't tell you. You can see by the pause of my voice how much I blew up when I saw this. I went crazy. People don't understand. I've been gaming for a long time, and I've come across some of the best game consoles out there, portable and in station, I should say. The Neo Geo Pocket Color is probably the equivalent, is the portable equivalent of the Dreamcast. It's one of those game systems that never got its due, but had some of the most fun, action-packed games at its time. The Neo Geo Pocket the Neo Geo Pocket and the Neo Geo Pocket Color, for those who don't know, was a 16-bit handheld portable game console. It was a much better version of a Game Boy back then. It was 16-bit as opposed to 8-bit, and they were able to do a little bit more with it. Now, I always questioned that when they said 16-bit, I've always questioned, how is this 16-bit? Because, if you play the Genesis, if you play games on the Sega Genesis or the Super Nintendo, which were actual 16-bit games, they were able to have a lot more sprites in their games than they had in here. The graphics was more defined in the 16-bit era. But when you get to a lot of the Neo Geo Pocket games, they look like just evolved versions of 8-bit games. A little bit more sprites, a lot more animation and movement to it. But the look of the games were were still retro in a sense of looking like Nintendo games. But with that said, I think when it came to the continuity and what they can do with their games, it was awesome. You were able to play Fatal Fury almost in the same fashion as the actual arcade versions or King of Fighters or any of that. But then they came out with all these games. They, if you notice now, they're coming out with they're bringing back a lot of their games from the Neo Geo Pocket, the ones that were really best sellers for them. We saw Samurai Showdown. That's what really got me to thinking, is it possible they could bring back Match of the Millennium? And here's our answer right now. They brought back Last Blade. They brought back King of Fighters as well. If you look at the lineup, it was nothing but fighting games in this still. And it was during the time when fighting games was at its hottest, the boom period for fighting games, between SNK and Capcom out there. In this case, SNK versus Capcom was a mega game series that brought the two powerhouse companies together. That was SNK and Capcom, and their iconic characters for the first time battling in a tournament. If you are a wrestling fan, this would be the current equivalent of AEW, All Elite Wrestling, opening the forbidden door to New Japan Pro Wrestling and Impact Wrestling. It's kind of one of the turns you never thought that you would ever see this happen. It happened because back then, you don't mention, it was competition. So, Capcom never mentioned anything about SNK and vice versa. That is until, they created Dan Hibiki, that poke fun at the art of fighting games. So, they never really acknowledged each other. Nor any companies ever, Pepsi never acknowledged Coke. Coke never really acknowledged Pepsi until later on, but they damn sure they would never work together. Again, wrestling and fantasy. WWF would never mention NWA ever. Just never, it would never happen. And then the 90s came. Things changed, and then the millennium changed, and this happened. And then we got the Forbidden Door open, where we get to see Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting characters face off against Street Fighter characters. And it was the biggest thing ever. It's something that we never thought we would see. And believe it or not, Neo Geo Pocket Color was the first of these series of games to do it. SNK versus Capcom Match of the Millennium was the first. After that came the PlayStation versions and the Xbox versions, so forth and so on, and the arcade versions. And that's when we started seeing the more graphic powered versions of these games. It was just awesome. These days we see crossovers a lot. Project Cross X. You just name it. You see a lot of these crossovers out right now. It's crossovering is a thing. The doors. This was one of the first forbidden doors to be opened. Now you see it all the time in these games. How many times have you seen Shovel Knight in a different game? They just announced that Shovel Knight is going to appear in For Honor. I think Shovel Knight can be said to be now one of the best indie game characters of all time at this point, because that character has appeared in so many games at this point. And that's saying a lot because he's an indie game character, and they kind of separate indie game characters from more established characters that from AAA developers. You know, at this point, that game character is iconic. It has possibly made more cameo appearances than Kratos in this case. But, you know, you get to see these games like that, and it didn't happen. Capcom and SNK was possibly one of the first companies to really combine both of their iconic characters together in this case. Man, it's amazing. This game was so awesome. Capcom created the legendary characters from Street Fighter 2, Darkstalkers, Rival Schools, and while SNK brought us cult characters like Fatal Fury, Art of Fighting, World Heroes, and of course King of Fighters. I must note that it was SNK that really kind of broke the forbidden door within its own fighting game series in their universe when they brought Art of Fighting's Ryo Sakazaki as a hidden character in Fatal Fury Special, which many can say was the genesis of SNK's crossover fighting series, King of Fighters. It really started there. Match of the Millennium. See how much of a fighting game fan I am, by the way. Match of the Millennium was the first of the epic crossover series. It consisted of 26 characters in both the Capcom and SNK universe. In 2000, fighting game fans would be rewarded with, again, the official arcade versions of those two games, like I mentioned. Match of the Millennium was a port, which was like it wasn't exactly. If you look at what they did with the PlayStation 2 or 3 version of the game, like SNK versus Capcom 1 and 2, see how awesome they looked, you know, and especially the frame rate and animation and all this stuff. Match of the Millennium was a 16-bit port, which was met with a lot of limitations to that of the Dreamcast and the PlayStation versions at the time. What it lacked in graphic power, it gained in continuity and replay value, however, because the game provided a variety of gameplay modes, such as tournament mode, which was their story mode, and it allowed you to play a singles tag battle, which was kind of the Capcom versus mode, and for games like Capcom versus Street Fighter or Marvel versus Capcom, games like that. It also had the tag battle, which consists of the SNK traditional King of Fighter elimination style that you're accustomed to. So it had the best of both worlds. Now, that was a mode that the Dreamcast, arcade, PlayStation versions didn't have. They didn't have those versions at the time. They didn't allow you to play in tag battle, Capcom tag battle mode. It was only King of Fighters elimination style mode. Whereas the Neo Geo Pocket version allowed you to play as any of those versions. So that was one of the things it had. Then it also had a really cool mini game mode called Olympics, where you get to choose between the Capcom side or the SNK side to play, and it, depending on which one you chose, it had different mini games that you could play on there, such as survival, time attack, and other mini games that you would have depending on which one you pick. Playing the games will allow you to earn points to unlock new moves for each character in the game. So there was a hidden power move that you can unlock for each character, which was awesome. And they also there was also hidden characters in there. There was, before DLC was ever created, there was just you unlocking hidden characters. I miss those days where you had a chance to play through the game so much that you end up actually just unlocking a new character in the game. Now you gotta use DLC to buy and spend more money doing it. But they had Evil Ryu and Orochi Iore Yagami in here as well. So you can unlock them, as well as Akuma was in the game as well, and other characters. Just so awesome. This game was so awesome. If you've not played this game, if you're a fighting game fan, but you are a current fighting game fan, this is a game you definitely need to add to your list of collections. This is an awesome game. What made me even more excited about this is that there's a possibility now that they allow this to come out, that there's a possibility that SNK versus Capcom Card Fighters is coming as well. To SNK, if you're listening to this, SNK Playmore, I believe. If you're listening to this, if somebody's listening to this, please, SNK versus Capcom Card Fighter is one of the greatest card battling games of all time. Please bring that back. That game was so awesome. I can't even, if that game comes back, I will be doing a episode just talking about that game. I can't tell you, like, you know, there before the Dragon Ball Heroes, you know, game was out. I'm telling you, and I love that game too. But I still say SNK versus Capcom Fighters is still the best. How they were able to make a car battle game that kind of gives you the same feel as the fighting game is an amazing thing. So here's my fingers are crossed right now to this. Hopefully it will actually happen. So folks, that will do it for this portion of this show. We're going to take a break, come back, and I will review Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury in our final stage. And I'm going to tell you how much I enjoyed this, but it's obviously I enjoyed it, but how well is it in the ranks of the best Mario games ever? We'll find out right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dak Xavier Josiah, the host of A.C.M.G. Presents Talk Time Live, the podcast. You want to catch up with all of our podcast shows and hear from some of the hottest names in all of anime, comics, movies, and games, such as...
This is Miley Flanagan, the voice of Naruto.
This is Stephanie Shea, the voice of Sailor Moon.
This is Ruben Langdon, voice of Ken Masters and Dante from Devil May Cry.
Hey there, this is Kyle Hebert, the voice of Ryu from Street Fighter V.
This is Chris Battle, character designer of Teen Titans Go.
Here's your chance to check out all of that and more on TalkTimeLive.com. TalkTimeLive.com provides all of our ACMG content with new and previous episodes, exclusive interviews, articles, and much more. Visit TalkTimeLive.com and let us help you learn to let go, live life, and love all things ACMG.
Talk Time Live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final stage as I review Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. The re-release of Super Mario 3D World from its original release, which was on November 22nd, 2013 for the Wii U. I finally get a chance to play this because this was one of the games that I never got a chance to check out since I opted out of owning a Wii U. I was one of those people that never seen the true value of getting the Wii U because it was virtually the same thing as the Wii, but it had a different controller with it. I'd never seen what was the point of that. They didn't show anything that was that spectacular, but it was the inspiration for what is now the Nintendo Switch. So, and even furthermore, a lot of games from the Wii U, like Wonderful 101, are now porting over to the Switch as well. So now people are getting a chance to play what they didn't get a chance to play back then. This is one of those other games. And it makes, after playing this, I really am glad that they did bring it back because I would have been really pissed had I not had a chance to play this game. Had not Mario Odyssey come out, this probably would have been my top favorite Mario game ever at this point. This game was a lot of fun. One of my favorite other Mario games, I would say if you want to put it in top 5, this will probably be number 2. Because Mario Odyssey is still the best out of the ones because they just took it to such a great level, being an open world type of experience and everything. But this one is a definite second. And I would say third will be Super Mario World that came out a while back as well. Super Mario 3D Land that came out a while back for the 3DS. That was a lot of fun as well. And there's a lot of similarities to that game and this game. This was like a more robust version of Super Mario 3D Land as well. And it was intentionally to be that way. And then it's Super Mario 3 and possibly Super Mario 2 is if I'm going to say top 5 from there. So this game I absolutely enjoyed. The Super Mario 3D World, I'm going to separate that to Bowser because they are two different games, but combined within the same world. But I love what they did with this. The story of this is very interesting. I'll read from the encyclopedia, the Super Mario, the official Super Mario encyclopedia, I should say. It was a beautiful night on the evening of a festival. Mario, Peach, Luigi, and Toad, who you are able to play as, discovered a clear pipe. They say clear pipe. It's a glass pipe, and you take it for what you will on that note. I memed this in certain cases. I memed this a lot since I've gotten the game. One of which you can see on TalkTimeLive.com. But this clear pipe comes in. I'm going to say glass pipe. I just can't. In Peach's garden. Mario and Luigi fixes it up, and the strange pipe unwittingly opens up a way to a fairy kingdom. Suddenly, a fairy-like Sprixel princess comes flying out. She told them about how Bowser forces were wrecking havoc in their kingdom, and the other Sprixie's princesses had been captured. Then Bowser himself erupted and from the pipe, all of this you see in the beginning of the game. He grabs the Prixies and retreated back into the kingdom. This will lead Mario, Peach, Luigi, and Toad into the pipe to rescue the Prixies and begin a new venture from that point. So, I love what they did with this game. I love the level design in here. Now, I've only played this as Mario, of course. I haven't got a chance to play as Peach, Luigi, Toad, and Rosalina, who makes an appearance in this game as well. I didn't know as well. Again, I didn't own the Nintendo Wii U, so I wasn't aware of this, but Captain Toad is in this game too, as well as the mini side mission games that he has in here, which led to his own game series. I was unaware that this was where it all started, so this was an interesting discovery for me in here. The power-ups that you get this time every power-up of Mario is always cool, but the cat Mario was probably the best, one of my favorites of all time. Cat Mario evens up with Raccoon Mario for me. I love that he could climb up walls. I love that his cat movement is so funny because, if you own a cat, you absolutely see that the mannerisms are there. I don't know what happens when he puts on these costumes, but he just embodies the character. It's like he's a method actor. It says you got your traditional fireball Mario, you got boomerang Mario. That was like my second favorite right there. Tanuki Mario, the double Mario, what I call the shadow clone Mario is when he gets the cherries and then he doubles up and he has a shadow clone version of him. I like that one as well. Lucky Cat Mario. I've gotten a few of those as well. Mega Mario is a rarity, but he comes even bigger than what he was before. Here, and Invisible Mario. That's the one power-up I did not get. So, I really enjoyed that aspect as well. White Tanuki Mario, of course, only occurs when you lose so many times that this one sprouts up and kind of gives you a helping hand. So as well, they also have cannon boxes. They got beam boxes that you can hide under. You got the propeller boxes, of course, that let you elevate yourselves even higher. Goomba Mario mask is hilarious because you put on the mask and the Goombas won't even come chase you at all. They also got the Goomba ice skate mode, which allows you to get into a skate shoe, much like you would the shoe in Super Mario 3. So there's some Super Mario 3 elements in here as well, but all a lot of fun. There's also another really fun mode here where you get to ride Plessy, which is something that you do in Bowser's Fury as well. He makes his return, like everything from Super Mario 3D World makes a return in Bowser's Fury as well. But a lot of the really cool, fun characters in here. I was hoping, the one thing I was hoping but I didn't get in here was the Koopa Kids. I love the Koopa Kids, not just Bowser Jr., because Bowser Jr. came way later, but the Koopa Kids who originally appeared and debuted on Super Mario 3 never really made it here, and that was the only downfall. It didn't take away from the game, but I just, I would have loved to have seen you go up against each Koopa Kid. The stages itself, I love how World 1 gave you a easy understanding of what you're going to expect, and then as you go into the worlds, and by the time you get to World 6, it becomes a little bit more challenging, but never too challenging. That's the thing I loved about what Miyamoto has always done for these level designs and of these stages, is that they're challenging but not overwhelming or overbearing, or it won't have you throwing your controller, to the wall. They were always just the right amount of fun, just the right amount of challenge for you to master or whatever like that. But the whole focus of Mario games has been fun, not just even fun, family fun. They want you to have fun. They don't want to try to challenge you if you don't want to be challenged too much, but they don't ever make it easy for you, but they don't ever make it hard. And it makes for a lot of a really fun time. There's always a great balance to Miyamoto's games, and it was always appreciated that way. But what really makes this awesome was the final boss scene, modes with Bowser, because Bowser ends up turning into a cat at this point too, or more or less a tiger, and he also uses the cherries as well at the end, which makes things so bad. And I love the final battle between you and Bowser, because it becomes a climatic battle. One of the most climatic battles I've ever played in any of the Mario games, I think, up until Odyssey. Odyssey was awesome too, but this one here was also great here as well. This one, I feel like Bowser was really more animated than he was in other Mario games as well. I think he really stood out here on this game and on Bowser's Fury as well. I loved him. I loved it. The game itself is just great. I had there are some Mario games that I didn't have fun with as much. The most fun Mario games I've had was the top 5 that I mentioned out of all the Mario games that I had, because there were some games that just wasn't fun. They were still good, but they weren't fun. And I really enjoyed this one. Now, when it came to Bowser's Fury, what I loved about this, because where Mario 3D World was just a 3D platform with, not too many camera angles. There were some restrictions in the camera angles as well. And, it wasn't, free roaming. What they did for that, what they did for Bowser's Fury, is that they made it an expanded, open type of world type of feel. Now, it wasn't completely open world. It was open world in the sense of, the element around them. You could just there was no loading, so you could constantly go from stage to stage and everything. So it was like that open world, but it wasn't like an expanded world. It was, you could tell there was some, it was a small surface of area that had different little small islands within it, but there was no loading time within any of it. So you were able to easily travel from one aspect to another. You would do so by, riding on, the same creature that you, the Pleasy creature, or Plessy. I don't know how to pronounce that actually, but you got to ride on him all throughout the different islands and everything. What I loved about it is that this was now a 3D roaming version of Super Mario 3D World. And all of the same enemies was in there, and you could tell that the graphics was a little bit more enhanced. The water, the reflections beaming from the water was definitely there, and it was awesome. And what happens in this is that they don't, what the thing is, and maybe I didn't get to the true ending yet, because I ended it halfway through with 50 of the sun coins that I got, but I didn't get through 100. I was told that there is an actual a true ending to this, because what the first ending does, it doesn't really explain what happened to Bowser at this time. So I need to play through that in order to do it. But what happens basically is something happened to Bowser where he's absorbing this dark tarry like goo that changes him into this huge monster. Basically, the goo, the black goo, almost comes off like the symbiote from Spider-Man that inhabits Eddie Brock. And it seems like this is the case of what happened here. They don't explain how it happened, but he just absorbed this, which then turns him into like a Godzilla-like monster that, you know, brings more chaos to the land that he is in. And Bowser Jr. seeks Mario to try to help him, you know, help Bowser get back to normal. He does this by going into finding these new sun coins, which in fact ignites these lighthouses, which beams light at Bowser, and that kind of weakens him. But as you gradually go on, he becomes a little bit more immune to this whole thing. So what happens is you need to get these Geiger bells and get enough coins to ignite these Geiger bells, which allows you to become a giant as well. So you wind up now getting into these huge kaiju battles between you and Bowser, which are awesome. These are really cool. As you gradually get closer to reaching the 50 goal and defeating Bowser, the levels get a little bit more challenging, and you know, even the kaiju battles that you have with them becomes a little bit more interesting as well. So as you're gradually going to find these sun coins, what happens is that you have a certain amount of time to do so before Bowser comes back. And if Bowser comes back, then things become more challenging because he's attacking you while you're trying to get these coins, and you have to get these coins fast enough to ward him away. This is kind of like the PG version of Friday the 13th, the NES game, whereas like every so often you had to hurry up and get to a certain area before Jason comes in, and he comes in at any time. And if you remember with my interview with Adam Shube, we talk about this because he did a painting of the classic NES. We did a painting of the classic NES game, and it was awesome because it reminded me of that. And you have this situation where you wind up actually coming back out of nowhere, and Bowser comes out of nowhere, and he could crush you at this time. If you get crushed, the thing is you die, but you don't start from scratch. That part didn't make sense to me because you don't start the game over from scratch, which I guess it could be a good thing. But you still have the same amount of sun coins that you have and all the stuff. You end up losing more coins than anything. What I do like though is that this time around, what you weren't able to do in the original Super Mario 3D World game was the ability, you could always store a power-up if need be, because if you happen to get attacked by one of the enemies like the Goombas or whatever, or the Koopas, whatever, the thing what happened was you had the ability to, you know, use your storage power-up to use. This time around with Bowser's Fury, what they did was they widened the storage unit that you had for it, and you were able to actually, this time around, you were able to store up to 5 power-ups each. So you would have some of the same abilities that you would have in Super Mario 3D World, such as Fireball Mario, Cat Mario, Tanuki Mario, Boomerang Mario. Those you would have, as well as Lucky Cat Mario as well. And you can now store up to 5 each. So if you wanted to, you can, you know, if you lose one, that's okay. Oh, and also the regular Mushroom Mario in case you get killed again and, you know, minimize into small Mario. So this time around, if you lose, you can also just use from like your bank. You have a whole bank of power-ups that you can use and keep using. Now, doesn't mean that you're going to be having power-ups all the time, because I got into a situation where I almost end up using up all of them because of the battles that I had with Bowser and some of the obstacles that I had to go through. So it does provide a bit of a challenge, but nothing nearly as hard that you can't get through. Eventually, you will get through it. I have myself, you know, losing a bunch of times, and it was at a point that each time that I lost, I didn't feel slated or cheated at all. I felt like, okay, I got to get this right. I got to get the timing right. I got to get something right here. So I love once again, the balance of, win-loss, and it wasn't over, it wasn't under. It was just right, so at the end, I love what happened at the end, at the first ending that you have, because it's very comical. It's very funny. Very cartoony, I would say. I love the way they did it. Well, it's Mario anyway, so but it just really shows how far that they've come with their, so like, Bowser and Mario are just basically best friends at this point. They're just rivaling best friends at this point, and it's like, especially if you remember playing Mario Odyssey and how that ended right there. So these two will never kill each other. They're friends. You could kind of see that they're kind of so accustomed to each other. It ain't funny. It's hilarious. But what I would say, if in terms of like game quality as a separate game alone, it's a fun game. It's a very fun game, but alone, it's not the best game. I say if you put that as a combination of Super Mario 3D World and Bowser as an expansion, yes, it's a great game. But on its own, I think it falls off just a little bit of the dynamic and depth that Super Mario 3D World had on its own. Super Mario 3D World on its own is like, if I graded those two on its own, I'd say Super Mario 3D World gets an A, whereas Super Mario 3 Bowser's Fury, I should say, gets like a B, a solid B for me. Because I think there was some things that I would have wanted more from that. And there were times that it got on its own. It gets a little bit tedious and boring in a sense, but not too much. But them combined together, if I'm to give that a grade, it gets an A+. Because you have both of these elements together. And there are some things that one has that the other one doesn't. And I think that's where it comes down to, and I really, really enjoy it as both of them together as a package. And you being able to see Mario in full 3D form and the Super Mario 3D World element in there as well. So overall, like, if you're a Mario fan, this is a can't miss. You gotta get this game. This was an awesome addition to the Mario library, and adding Bowser's Fury into it, which in itself actually is a full game. If you combine them two together, they're like 12 worlds. Super Mario 3D World was 6 worlds in itself, but I believe Bowser's Fury is another 6. So if you put that together, that's a full entire game for you to enjoy as well. So if you're a Mario fan, if you're a fan of Miyamoto, and you're a fan of Nintendo, this is a can't miss. Like, and even still, I still got to play this with Luigi and Peach and Toad and the others. So I get to, the replay value is just there. This is just, again, I would say out of all the Mario games, and if you want to rank it in the top 5, this is number 2 for me. And that's also like, that's taking down the rank of Super Mario 3D Land for the 3DS. So that's it. That speaks volumes of it right there, because I really loved that game. I loved how that game had a lot of great balance to it. I never did like Super Mario Brothers U was the one Mario game I did not enjoy as much. So the fact that Super Mario 3D World came out, it made it a lot better. I just enjoyed it immensely. So yeah, A+ for the entire package that they provided here, and go out of your way to check it out, folks. That will do it for this edition of Select Start. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I remember last week I was trying to figure out, saying like, I will eventually have something to talk about into this Sunday show. Well, I found it, damn it. Just announced in commercials on social media a movie that never got a chance to see, partially because I didn't want to see it, but the other reason why, because it was only in theaters. And for some reason, the brainchild of that decision of putting this movie only in theaters is probably biting themselves in the ass right now. But it is now on digital, and that is Monster Hunter. That movie is, which by the way, it was just out in theaters not too long ago, and now it's already out on digital. And you could tell that it possibly made no money in theaters. I have reason to believe it did not make not one dime in theaters because of COVID. This stars Milla Jovovich, Tony Jay, Ron Perlman. I'm a big Ron Perlman fan. Megan Good is in here. Big Megan Good fan. So we'll see. This is going to be interesting. Paul W.S. Anderson, once again, is directing this or producing this, which, of course, he's directing it, which, of course, is the guy who was responsible for the original Mortal Kombat game, and he's also responsible for the Resident Evil series that also had his wife, Milla Jovovich, in there. A lot of controversy on that note, but there it is what it is. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to review this. I'm going to take... Now, there's no way in the world that I'm going to be convinced that this movie is good. There's no way. But what I will do is look at this from a Mystery Science 3000 aspect. You know, if you Google Monster Hunter movie, and they talk about showtimes in theaters, there's a COVID-19 alert in there. Some showtimes may not be up to date in place where health guidelines. Good Lord. I am looking forward to watching this. So I will be watching this movie. I will review this movie with no expectations of whether this movie being good at all. I don't understand why they did this, but that will be the main movie that I will focus on this one. But also, that's not all. I will also give my thoughts on the spin-off series to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable, which is Thus Spoke Kisabe Rohan, which is out now on Netflix too. I'm a big JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fan. I'm especially a fan of Diamond is Unbreakable as well. And I know that I didn't realize how popular Rohan's character is in Japan, so much so that they made a separate spin-off manga series for it, and now the anime series is out. So it is out and it's in English. It is not voiced by Vic Mignogna, who was the original voice of Rohan in the series. So that is going to be interesting. It's been taken over by a new actor, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So of course, you know, if anybody knows the name of Vic Mignogna, you know this situation of that going on right there. So that is going to be interesting, and to talk about that and whatever else comes by as well. So you can always check this episode and all of our episodes out on TalkTimeLive.com, especially our exclusive interviews with some of the best in all things anime, comics, movies, and games. You could go into our website there, click on the Talk Time Live exclusives page. You can check out all of our interviews there. As well, if you are listening to this show on your favorite podcast platform, we are available. You can subscribe and download on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, TuneIn, aka Amazon devices, including Audible, as well as Pandora and Pocket Cast as well. There's no place you can that you can't find us in. A.C.M.G. presents Talk Time Live is anywhere and everywhere you can possibly be. So thank you all for always supporting this show and keep us definitely going and keep us growing. Let everybody know that you can find it. If you are looking for somebody from some black representation, you got it right here. So, check it out. I really appreciate all of you guys, as always, chiming on, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from. Thank you for always checking out and downloading this show. It's greatly appreciated. We will be having some guests coming very soon, especially down the line in March. So stay tuned for that as well. Just keep enjoying everything and be safe out there. So that's all I got to say. So that will do it for me. On behalf of myself, this is Dak Xavier Josiah saying, learn to let go, live life, and love all things anime, comics, movies, and games. This is A.C.M.G. presents Talk Time Live. I am out there. Take care and be very safe out there, especially out there. Shout out and thoughts and prayers to those in Texas right now going through this horrendous winter storm and everything down there too. Take care, people. Music for this episode is provided by Game Chops. Check out these great chiptune tracks and more at music.gamechops.com.